Today, let's talk about heavy weapons teams. So, first of all, heavy weapons teams, if you're a highly competitive player, are not going to be something you're going to want to include in your list. Due to toughness 3 and a lack of eternal warrior, a lot of the time, anything hitting them at strength 6 is really technically counting as doing 2 wounds to a squad instead of 1. However, I'm a very thematic player, and I really do enjoy having them in my army. So let's run through the options and see what we think. The first option is the mortar. Now, the mortar is the cheapest option, coming in at 5 points. It does have some benefits and some weaknesses. One of the great benefits of it is the ability to kill a specific model. Now, if you shoot a barrage at an enemy, remember, as long as you're firing indirectly, that damage, instead of coming from the closest model to the unit, comes from the closest model to the center of the template, which means you can put it on that pesky las cannon marine and maybe get lucky, hit him, wound him, and have him fail his save. All of a sudden, your mortar more than paid for itself. It has a good target cooperation with las guns. It can fire and hit and hurt the same things that your las guns can. So you're not having to stand there with 9 las guns kind of looking at something that they're shooting at that they can't hurt. I would say it's definitely best in an infantry squad. I would never put it in a veteran squad, and I would never put it in a heavy weapons team, because for 5 points more than a heavy weapons team with 3 mortars, you can get a wyvern. So, and the other weakness on it is that it cannot snap fire, so don't put it in a infantry squad that you're planning on moving around very much. Moving on to, in my opinion, the winner of the whole heavy weapons team idea, and that is the autocannon. The autocannon coming in at 10 points, strength 7, AP 4, very versatile weapon, 2 shots. You can target monstrous creatures with it and wound them with relative ease. You can also hit light to medium armor. This is one of the ones that I would say would be a good choice either in an infantry squad, a heavy weapon squad, or a veteran squad. It's an all-around winner, very versatile weapon, just a generally good choice. Moving on to the other 10-point slot, and that is the heavy bolter. Now, I like the idea thematically of a heavy bolter. As a machine gun in support of infantry, I do feel that the weapon, for what it gives you on the tabletop, especially considering how easy it is to get cheap heavy bolters on tanks in the Codex, I feel that it's a little bit overcosted. But it does have that same target cooperation that the mortar does, in that it's going to be shooting at the same types of targets, i.e. infantry, that your your las guns are going to be firing at as well. And it can snap fire. It's almost equivalent to the same 2 guys with snap guns or with las guns if you're on the move snap firing. Excuse me, I can't speak today. Again, I would say this is an infantry squad only. I would not put this in a heavy weapons team or waste the points for veterans. But it can also surprisingly deal a fair amount of damage to most monstrous creatures in the game. I do like having them in some of my infantry squads. Moving on to one of the easiest looking options to take, but maybe one of the not quite as great ideas, and that is the missile launcher. The missile launcher had its day. There were times in 6th edition and in 5th edition that missile launchers on Space Marines were just absolutely amazing, and a lot of the players from my era, I started playing in 5th edition, have this love affair with the missile launcher. In the current game, it's kind of hit or miss. It is a one-shot wonder, in that if it can hit on a guardsman with ballistic skill 3, it's pretty good. If it can hit. It does give you some versatility with frag missiles, but at that point, you might as well be taking a mortar. And if you're taking the one shot and you're going to say, well, I'm going to put it on a veteran squad, Well, why wouldn't you cough up the extra 5 points, go from 15 to 20 points, and give them a las cannon? The last thing about it, and if you have read anything on the internet, is the flak missiles. Really, on any codex that I've ever seen, are horrifically overcosted. Find another anti-air option, be it Hydra, be it a Aegis defense line with the quad gun. That's always solid. Or the fact that we have vendettas in our codex are significantly better options. There are better options out there than flak missiles. The flak missiles just get far too expensive far too quickly. And the last one coming in is, in my opinion, the other winner, and that is the las cannon. There are a couple of different ways that you can run the las cannon. Las cannons in veteran squads and in like company command squads with the veterans there at ballistic skill 4 are excellent. They provide a little bit of a threat that maybe an opponent has to deal with somewhere else on the board, rather than just dumping fire into infantry squads or into your tanks up front. They can also be very effective in a heavy weapons team. Give them the order that ignores cover. Give them monster hunter or tank hunter. They become really, really valuable there. The last thing that's interesting to me is that you can put them. I've seen them put into 5 of them into a big blob platoon, and have the rest of the platoon work as a meat shield. And I think that's kind of an interesting-ish idea. What I find more interesting is having them in a platoon, having them in a veteran squad, and having the split fire order issued, to where you can fire the las cannon one direction and 3 plasma guns the other direction. A lot of different ideas that you could put in there, a lot of different ways that you could run them. My ranking, if you're asking my personal opinion on the heavy weapons options for Imperial Guard, would go like this. Number 1, the winner of them all, is the autocannon. It's versatile with a higher strength than the vast majority of toughnesses, as well as the ability to pen up to armor 12. Las cannon would be next, with a lot of different options that you could do there. Number 3 would be the mortar, simply because of how incredibly cheap it is and your ability to just tack it onto a squad. Then comes missile launchers, and then heavy bolters. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Where do you disagree? I'd love to hear about it. Leave it in a comment below. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.